Aadeel Akhtar is a visionary leader whose journey intertwines engineering, healthcare, and human empowerment, driven by a passion to create a profound impact on people's health and capabilities. As the founder and CEO of Psyonic, Aadeel has revolutionized the field of prosthetics by developing the Ability Hand, the fastest bionic hand in the world, renowned for its durability and the first to provide users with touch feedback. Aadeel brings a unique combination of playfulness and seriousness to his work and innovation, supported by his extensive academic background, including a PhD in neuroscience and an engineering degree from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. His work has garnered significant recognition, from being named one of MIT Technology Review's 35 Innovators Under 35 to being featured in Newsweek as one of America's greatest disruptors. Adeel's commitment is to amplify impact where technology serves as a bridge to opportunity and independence. Please welcome to the stage, Aadeel Akhtar.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me here. What a wonderful conference to celebrate both engineering and entrepreneurship and the impact that it has. So I'm Dr. Aadeel Akhtar. I'm the CEO and founder of Psyonic. We develop advanced bionic limbs that are affordable and accessible for humans and robots. And usually when I give these talks, I like to start with a video. This is a commercial that was run at the University of Illinois back when I was a student there.
Can we fit him?
How did they do that?
What did you do? Where's the English building?
Could you go over that again?
Hey, can I check that?
When's that paper due?
Can I tell you my idea?
How can we make it cheaper?
Do you think this will work?
How did that feel?
So if you couldn't tell, that was me at the end of that video, right over there. But one of the reasons why I like this video so much is that it highlights the journey of starting off as a young kid who's curious about the world all the way to making these mind-controlled, neurally powered bionic limbs, right? And so for me personally, that journey started when I was 7 years old. So my parents are from Pakistan. I was born in the Chicagoland area, and I was visiting Pakistan for one of the first times when I was 7. And that was the first time I actually met someone missing a limb. She was my age, missing her right leg, and using a tree branch as a crutch. And that's what inspired me to go into this field of bionics and wanting to build advanced bionic limbs that were accessible and affordable for both humans and now robots as well too. So I went to the Loyola University of Chicago, and I got a bachelor's degree in biology there, a master's in computer science, and I taught there for a couple of years before going down to the University of Illinois, where I got another master's in electrical and computer engineering, a PhD in neuroscience, and I left medical school to do this because this was a little bit more fun. But while I was doing my PhD, if it wasn't interdisciplinary enough, my PI was Professor Tim Brettel, is in aerospace engineering, right? So it's bridging all of these different fields together in order to make impact into the world. While I was doing my PhD, we got the chance to go down to Quito, Ecuador, where we worked with a nonprofit organization known as the Range of Motion Project. Their whole mission is to provide prosthetics to those who can't afford them, primarily in Guatemala and Ecuador. And the founder of the organization is an alum from the University of Illinois as well. And so this is part of a much longer story of 2 weeks of all-nighters, and that's a story for another time. But when we went down there, we met our very first patient ever. This is Juan Suquillo. He lost his left hand 35 years prior due to a landmine explosion. He was in the Ecuadorian army, and there was a border war between Ecuador and Peru. And in this picture, this was the first time we were trying to get him to control a very, very early prototype of what we now call the Ability Hand. And it didn't work. And like I said, 2 weeks of all-nighters in trying to get this thing to work. And then in front of international news stations the following week, he was actually able to control it for the first time. And this is the video from that day.
Un quiteño es el primer beneficiado de una prótesis de mano con ayuda en su financiamiento. El programa es realizado por jóvenes de la Universidad de Illinois en Estados Unidos.
Juan Suquillo es excomandante de guerra. Fue así como perdió parte de su brazo. De esto han pasado más de 30 años.
Varios miembros de mi pelotón sufrieron heridas y particularmente la mía me cobró el brazo izquierdo.
Gracias al avance de la tecnología, hoy puede acceder a una prótesis.
Parte de mí ha vuelto. Ha vuelto.
Jóvenes ingeniosos y con un gran empeño por ayudar al prójimo más necesitado han desarrollado una prótesis de brazo mioeléctrico con la posibilidad de retroalimentación sensorial, es decir, sentir como una mano de verdad.
So a couple things I want to point out here. One, my hair was much cooler back then. But more importantly, the hand that you see on that table there, right? It's 3 times the size of an average adult human hand. Had wires going everywhere, plugged into breadboards, power supplies, my laptop in the wall. And despite that, Juan said that he felt as though a part of him had come back. And that was because he made a pinch with his left hand for the first time in 35 years. In fact, he had forgotten how to make a pinch, and we had to retrain his brain by placing a mirror in front of his amputated side, reflecting his right hand, tricking his brain into thinking that his left hand was there. So when he made a pinch with both sides, it reactivated his muscles, and then that would go to that giant breadboard, and he was actually able to control it. And so when he said that, that's when I realized that if I stay in academia, if I finish medical school and go to an academic hospital, this just ends up as a journal paper. If we want everyone to feel the same way that Juan did, we had to commercialize this technology. And that's when Psyonic was born. And so we went back to the University of Illinois, we entered our school's business plan competition, the COSAD New Venture competition, won that in 2015, the Illinois Innovation Prize in 2016. We won several grants from the National Science Foundation through the SBIR program, raised a pre-seed round, and then after 9 iterations with the 9th one that I'm holding here in my hand, as of September of 2021, the Ability Hand is available nationwide, and we have over 200 patients using it as well. So, you saw what the hand looked like then. This is what it looks like now. So this is retired U.S. Army Sergeant Garrett Anderson doing push-ups for the first time since his Army days. He can even hold a 50-pound kettlebell and do kettlebell swings with it. But you don't just need to do extreme things like in the gym. You can use it for tasks as mundane as closing your laptop lid, for example, or for Tina, one of our very first users, feeding her granddaughter for the very first time because she could hold the bottle with her bionic hand and hold the baby with her natural hand. And this is why we do what we do, right? This is to improve the life of people with limb differences so that we can improve their quality of life overall. And this is what's in the hand itself, but rather than read a bunch of text on the screen, I can show you directly. So I'm controlling it with these 2 buttons right over here, but if I were missing my hand, I would actually have most commonly 2 muscle sensors that I use. So imagine if it's like I flex my wrist in, that closes the hand. If I extend my wrist out, it opens the hand back up. I can go back and forth like that. If I flex very slowly or lightly, I can control the speed of it to go very slowly, or I can go very quickly as well. When the hand is open, if I extend my wrist out again, I can switch to different grips. So I could do a pinch, for example. If I'm at a rock concert, I can rock on. And then our user favorite is the finger wave, where you can see all the fingers waving. And I can do a nice chill finger wave as well, too. And if you're wondering, yes, you can point with individual fingers as well, too. It's one of the most requested things that we get from our users as well. So other things about this, the fingers are flexible, so they can take a beating, so I can take this, I can smash it. I've climbed to the roof of my house, I've dropped the hand 30 feet in the air, it survived, I've stepped on it, I've put it in a dryer for 10 minutes, I've arm wrestled the para-triathlete national champion and lost, and we've even done flaming board breaking with it as well, so this thing can take quite a beating. It's water resistant up to the wrist, so the same way you wash your hands naturally, you can just use soap and water. The hand itself, this is it right over here. Everything's self-contained inside the hand. It weighs lighter than my own hand. An average adult human hand is around 520 grams. This is around 490 grams. I can just pop it back on like that. It'll recalibrate. It's USB-C rechargeable. So the same way you plug in your phone, you can plug in your hand. It'll recharge from 0 to 100% in an hour. If you're out in the woods, you can use one of those portable power packs to charge it. But you can also charge your phone from your arm, which is a superhuman ability we like to use. I wish I could do that with my own arm, right? And so one of the most unique features about this is that this is the first hand on the market to give users touch feedback. So we have touch sensors in the fingertip, the finger pad, 2 on the outside and 2 on the inside. And there's a vibration motor in here that allows our users to feel a vibration when they've touched an object, when they've let go of that object, and how hard they've been pressing on that object too. It's the fastest bionic hand on the market. The fingers close within 200 milliseconds, and that's faster than we can blink our own eyes, which is roughly around 300 milliseconds. But the most important thing for us was that we actually got it covered under Medicare in the US. And thank you. And to put that in perspective, before our hand came along, advanced bionic hands like this would only be really covered by about 10% of the insurers, and that was if you were in the military or if you had a workplace accident. By getting it covered under Medicare, we expanded that access to 75% of Americans can now afford the most advanced bionic hand. And like I said, that's what we do. We build advanced bionic limbs that are more affordable and accessible than ever before. And so we're gonna show a bunch of fun videos. And so this next video shows the para-triathlete national champion, Dan St. Pierre, 3 minutes after he was first fitted with the device. And someone threw him a water bottle and he was able to catch it.
All right, ready? That's it right here.
And seeing this, I stupidly decided to challenge him to that arm wrestling match that I was telling you about. And this was filmed at the State Farm Center at the University of Illinois. They gave us the whole basketball arena to do this. And unfortunately, I ended up losing. So maybe I should pull this one from rotation. But I got to start working out a bit more. I'll get my revenge on him. But if you guys remember, there was a viral trend from several years ago about where if you had like a water bottle and you partially filled it up and then you tried to flip it and you tried to make it land right side up. You can imagine that's a lot harder to do with a bionic hand, but one of our users, Kate Kettlehone, she's now a pre-med student at Johns Hopkins, she came over to our labs when we were at the University of Illinois in their incubator space, and she was nailing these shots all over the place. And this next one is one of my favorites, which was in the stairwell, and she actually gets it up on a windowsill 2 stories up. We were pretty excited. And by the way, all these videos are on YouTube, so feel free to follow us on YouTube, and we have a whole number of awesome, fun videos like this. So going back to Sergeant Anderson, with Mark 7 of the Ability Hand, we hooked it up to a wrist rotator, and he can actually do 360 degrees of wrist rotation just by using his muscles. So we made him superhuman again, right? And then this is him punching through 3 wooden boards set on fire. So like I said, the hand can take quite a beating. And if you remember that first video I was showing you guys with Juan, well, in September of 2023, after 9 years, we went back down and finally we were able to give him a version of the hand that he got to use on a daily basis. So it wasn't this hand that was 3 times the size of an average adult human hand anymore. It was actually attached to him. He was using it on a daily basis. And this is one of the sweetest moments that we had, where he actually went to the local bazaar and was able to grab a naranjilla fruit and smell it up to his nose. And again, this is why we do what we do. And so what's interesting here is that while we were developing this hand and coming from a robotics lab at the University of Illinois, we found that if you're building a robot to do human tasks, we've optimized our hands for humans to do human tasks, so why don't robots end up using the same thing? And so our hand is actually being used by over 50 robotics companies, including Google and NASA and Meta, and Mercedes is building cars with them. Apptronic here locally is a big humanoid robot company that's using our hands as well. And about a year and a half ago, we got the chance to go down to NASA and see their humanoid astronaut, Valkyrie, use our hands to do tasks that you might find on the International Space Station. And so this is one of my favorite images. So this is our user experience specialist, Annika Berlin, fist bumping the NASA humanoid robot using the exact same hand. In fact, we can take it off the humanoid robot, put it on her, and she could actually use her muscles to control it. And what you see in the background is a panel of like buttons and knobs and switches you might find on the International Space Station. And they were struggling to have Valkyrie, their humanoid robot, do a zipper that was on the wall. And so then Annika, she goes up to and she's easily able to handle the zipper. And the NASA engineers were like, we didn't even even think about using the hand in that way. And it was this incredible moment for us because then we were teaching the NASA engineers how to use their robot. I was like, well, I was never expecting that to happen. But it really solidified for us that this synergy between the humans and the robots, right? Our humans have adapted and they figured out how to do all sorts of activities of daily living. And if they can do it, then the robots should be able to emulate that as well. But you don't have to put the hands on just on a humanoid robot. You can put them on any robot, including robot dogs. And so this next video was taken at the University of Illinois. This was in the lab of Professor Ji-Hyun Kim, where he has a Boston Dynamics robot dog, and he built 2 arms for it, and we put our hands on it, and we gave it lightsabers, and I had a lightsaber duel against the Boston Dynamics dog. I keep losing these challenges. I gotta get better at them. But you don't even need to put the hand on a robot arm. You can just have it function autonomously on its own too. And so for Halloween, we usually make the hand walk on its own. Fortunately, I survived, as you can see me here. But we have a lot of fun over at Psyonic in particular. And so we moved to San Diego about 2.5 years ago from Champaign to work with the Navy Hospital and UCSD on the next generation of these bionic devices that are seamlessly integrated with your bones and your nerves. And we've got collaborations all over the United States. So for example, with the University of Chicago, they have a patient there who was paralyzed in a automotive accident about 25 years ago, Scott Embry, and he had brain implants installed in him, and just by thinking, he was actually able to control our hand connected to a robot arm and shake the host of 60 Minutes' hand. And then they were blindfolding him, and just by touching the fingers on our hand, he was actually able to detect which finger was being touched because they were stimulating that area of the brain. And this next video shows that.
How you doing, Scott? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Scott. With volunteers including Scott Embry.
And you can feel that. I feel it on my fingertips.
Whose movement and sense of touch are limited by a spinal injury from a car accident. Computer ports in Embry's skull are wired to the motor and sensory parts of his brain. Electrodes pick up the brain's electrical signals that were intended for the muscles. A computer translates those signals to the robot arm.
Middle, ring.
So as you can see, they're stimulating his brain, and
Index.
you can tell which finger was being touched because it's corresponding to the area of the hand that's actually being touched as well. And this is where we're going with this technology, this seamless integration between humans and robots. And as I was mentioning, we're working with the Navy Hospital and UCSD on the next generation of these devices. So instead of having what we call a socket, it's kind of like a cast that you put your arm into and you have muscle sensors on the outside, we're developing titanium implants that can go directly in your bones and come out of your body and attach the hand directly to your bones, and then fine microwire electrodes that are actually implanted into your nerves directly, so that instead of doing these pre-programmed grips like I was showing you, like a power grip or a pinch, you can actually do individual finger control. And to demonstrate this, we're going to do something fun here. So if I could get a member of the audience to come up here and volunteer to actually control this hand, would anyone like, all right, we've got a volunteer right there. Let's give her a round of applause. And what's your name?
Jessica.
Nice to meet you, Jessica. And so, Jessica, this is what we're going to do. So there's Bluetooth on this hand, so I've got an app for it. There's an app for everything these days, right? And so there's a mode on this app that will use my phone's camera. And what I want you to do is put your hand in front of the camera. Just like that, yep. And then what I want you to do is start bending your fingers. So you're actually controlling each individual finger on here. Yep, we got I love you there too. And you can go crazy with it too. So if you just move all the fingers around, you can. And so this is the next level of where we want to go with this technology, right? Where we can actually have individual finger control controlled by your nerves instead of just using the phone's camera and everything. Thank you. And so we're hoping that when we start clinical trials on this in the next year and a half or so, that we'll have our first patients playing piano or typing on a keyboard. And then when you touch the fingers, instead of feeling a vibration, it'll actually feel like it's coming from their hand that they no longer have. And what's more important here too is that we make this technology accessible to everyone that can get it. So there's still 25% of patients in the US who are on Medicaid or uninsured, and then 80% of people in developing nations who can't afford access to affordable prosthetic limbs. So we started in partnership with a nonprofit called Limbs for Life, a fund called the Ability Fund that for every $25,000 that's donated, it completely covers all of the medical costs and the device costs for a hand and a leg, which is typically $100,000 to $150,000. And so this next video is about our first recipient of this fund, Ivan Krastev, who was born without his hand. He's a high school student in San Diego, and he's missing his right hand, and he was bullied as a kid for it.
My name is Ivan Krastev. I am 16 years old, and I am from South San Diego. I'm really intrigued with airplanes, and that's really my thing. I want to become a drone pilot. When I was younger, I didn't really catch on to, I have a hand, that's whatever. But once I realized I became conscious of hearing about others' opinions and how they looked at me, I really started to become self-conscious, extremely self-conscious. I wouldn't go out if I had just a shirt on like this. I got bullied about it, but it's really whatever. My teacher, Mr. Bentz, came over to me and he showed me this link, and it was a robotic hand. So I was like, okay. I thought he just felt pity for me, and I was like, just another idea to throw out there to make me feel better. He sent it to me, and I looked at it maybe a few times. I just kept on looking at it, and I pressed on the link. I was like, whoa. So with that, Mr. Bentz, he encouraged me to send an email. And I just thought maybe, what can I lose? Just give it a shot. I received an email back, and I thought it was like a spam. I didn't actually think the CEO would contact me back. When the date came, that's when I came here and came for the first time with everyone else. And just before coming here, I didn't really want to have anyone feel pity for me having one hand. And, it's really cool to be able to come here and know that this exists literally not even a few miles away. And it's a really cool thing, honestly. It's just looking back at how I was, thinking about robotic limbs, and just never had the real thought of being in a physical place where robotic limbs exist with me in it. And yeah.
Can you do the other one? Can you actually?
And so when he came to our offices, this was the first time ever in his life that he controlled a right hand from his, left hand from his left side. And just this past December, we had a donor come in, and for Christmas, he was actually able to receive a hand, and now he's able to use a hand for the first time in his life on his left side, which is, again, why we do what we do. Thank you. And if you're interested in learning more about the Ability Fund and donating, there's a QR code right over there. But I also want to end by saying that if you had any question about if your work matters, it absolutely does. And here is a clear example of something that came out of engineering at a university and bring it all the way through the entrepreneurial mindset to have the kind of impact that it does on human lives and robots everywhere around the world. So thank you for everything that you guys are doing to make dreams like mine come true as well. Thank you.